All right, here we go live. Getting ready for week one of the NFL season. So we got some late drafters, and a lot of people like to wait until the week before, sometimes the day before first kickoff. That's actually a pretty good idea. Honestly, I have one in my leagues, my biggest money league. Actually, we haven't even set a draft date yet. So we're going to draft at some point this week. But you want those last minute draft questions answered. That's what we're here for. Chris, I think it's pretty smart to wait because things change throughout the preseason. We see ADPs and rankings shift so much, even up until the final preseason game. So are you somebody who prefers to draft really, really late, like last minute, or you think you need a little bit of time to prepare? What's your philosophy?
Well, all my drafts are done. So I may have one more tonight, but it's a very casual draft. We'll see if it happens. But all my drafts are done. To me, it's not a big deal either way. I mean, yeah, you have more information the later you draft, but also sometimes if you are better at predicting what may happen, obviously you can't predict injuries and things, but maybe how camp, battles may shake out. It can give you an advantage if you draft earlier.
Yeah, that's true. And it depends on your league. Of course, you're usually at the mercy of your commissioner when you draft, but look, I think that at this point, nothing's going to change unless some freak accident occurs. We don't have to worry about injuries. That's a good thing, right? No more surprise injuries or changes in the depth chart. So we just have to look at the matchups. We have to look at, who is going to be in store for a big workload week one right now based on the preseason. So with that said, we're here to answer your last minute draft questions. We also have put out, if you notice, our start sit for running backs and wide receivers. So we give you our thoughts on basically everybody that matters in any kind of format, unless you're in a crazy deep league. But pretty much all the fantasy relevant players for running back and wide receiver for every game. If you have not checked out those videos, of course, go do that after you're done watching this. We're also going to be live on Saturday, as we are going to be every week throughout the season. Live Saturday afternoon to answer as many start-sit questions as we can. And of course, if you are a Patreon or a patron on Patreon, you are with us on Sunday morning, right before kickoff. We answer all your questions, whether it be lineup advice, trades, waiver wire, anything and everything we do to help our patrons. Of course, we appreciate your support. And we got members of the Endgame community already jumping on, guys. Glad to see you with us. This was our last minute way to get on and give you as much help as we can. That's what we're here for. So let's get to it, Chris. I think we got some questions already piling up. Again, we could do start sit, but we're mainly hoping to help you with your draft questions. We could go Dynasty 2, best ball. Some people doing those last minute best ball drafts. I know I just got one in a couple hours ago. So let's start things off.
All right, let's go. Well, real quick, Nate says nice SFB2 shirt.
How to represent. Notice the San Antonio League. Yes, the Fishbowl. Rocking strong. I get one every year.
For those that don't know, the Fishbowl is without a doubt the biggest fantasy football league, gotta be in the world. Put on by a really cool guy named Scott Fish. How many teams are in it this year?
I think they've expanded it. It's been a couple of hundred usually. I think they doubled it. It's like 500 now. Something crazy.
I thought it was in the thousands.
It could be. I don't even keep up these days. We just met Scott Fish, right? We were hanging out with him at the expo.
We did. Really nice guy. And he's helped, and in the past, just a really nice guy. So, yeah. If you guys ever come across him or anything of his stuff, support him. He's a good guy. All right, we've got we've got a super chat here for our first question. Oh, no, just a super sticker I get. Okay, no, this question is right here. I got it. All right, well, here you go. Dolphins or Packers? We got a defense question right off the bat. Dolphins or Packers?
All right. For week one, if this is just talking strictly week one, it's got to be the Dolphins. Packers Vikings is usually a shootout. Vikings have a pretty good offense. The Packers defense, I don't know that I would say it's better than the Dolphins, but it's pretty good. Dolphins have some playmakers, though, and I'll tell you, going against Mac Jones and that Patriots offense that hasn't looked good all preseason, that's not a team that you should be scared to stream against, especially early in the season. So I go Dolphins.
Yeah, I go Dolphins too. I mean, Mac Jones, a Patriots team that wants to slow the game way down and just run the ball. It's, maybe not a super high ceiling for the Dolphins, but a very, very high floor. All right, Nunya Biz. Well, should we answer a question from Nunya Biz? At Nunya Biz, the answer is the answer into your biz. Let's find out. This is okay. Damian Pierce, right off the bat, we get a Damian Pierce question. Where are we taking him? 10-man, full PPR.
I mean, I feel like in a 10-man, you can take a little bit more risk, right? Because you don't have to worry too much about depth. You can get guys off the waiver wire more easily. I mean, if you think he's the real deal, you think he's going to be a starter for you, don't go crazy. Don't take him as your RB2, especially in a 10-team league. I mean, I see him going some drafts like 4th, 5th round. That's too high, especially in a 10-team league. I would say you could probably take him if you really want him, maybe round 6. But it also depends, how quickly everybody else in that league is going after running backs. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't. It's hard to say without knowing exactly where he falls, as far as the draft day goes.
Yeah, and I'll say now keep in mind this was super flex. In one of my leagues, we did get Damian Pierce as our RB2, and I'm trying to look here. We took him at the 9.3. Now it was super flex and 12 team and super flex. So that's a little. So you got to bump them up a little bit. Super flex, obviously, more QBs are going to go earlier. That's going to push everybody's ADP down. 12 team going to push his ADP down a little bit. So I think for Damian Pierce, 6 seems like the highest I would take him. I think probably like 7th round feels fair for him. Like probably around like guys like, AJ Dillon, those type of guys who are like, yeah, they could be really good, solid RB2s, but there's also some question marks about it. All right, now we got, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. I think he just typed in a bunch of characters. Olave or Williams, I'm going to assume you mean Jameson Williams? Since we're talking rookies, is that I'm going to assume?
I would assume so. I think either way, it's Olave. I mean, I think I still have Olave probably as my number 1 receiver in Dynasty. Like, I like Traylon Burks. I kind of want to see something from him before I push him to number 1. So, yeah, for me, it's Olave.
Yeah, me too. My concerns with Jameson is, number 1, I don't really think we see a lot out of him this year, which could depress his value going into next offseason, because even though people know like he's good and he's talented, when they don't see him do anything in year 1, they kind of lower like their perception of them is like, oh, he doesn't really have a lot of value. And number 2 is he's stuck on the Lions. And sure, maybe he gets like a massive QB upgrade next year. Maybe they draft a great rookie or they do something in free agency. Who knows? But it's the Lions. I'm not gonna bank on that. So I've got a lot of it ahead of that.
Yeah, if there's any team that knows how to waste good talent, it's the Lions.
Yes, just add Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson. Oh, I missed this one from Sean as well. Okay, 1 wide receiver, Watson, Palmer. Oh, this is the Wandale. Whoa. Oh boy. Okay, this is the.
We're talking for this week, I'm assuming. I mean, like, you can't put Watson out there. He's hardly shown anything this preseason. McKenzie's kind of banged up. They say he's going to play, but really, how big a role is he going to play on offense? I think Wandale, honestly, could be the top target for the Giants this week. I know. And look, I'm going to admit, I was not a huge fan of his pre-draft. Like, I thought he would be more of a gadget player, but look, the Giants have nobody else really to throw to at this point, and he's been great in camp, and they seem to love him. I think they're going to give him targets. I think he's going to start out pretty strong, and he's a guy who is a yak machine, so I think he could help you. Dobbs, of course, is just part of the mix there. I don't know if you really want to trust Dobbs week 1. So if I had to pick one this week, I'm going Wandale. Long term, Palmer's my guy, though.
Yeah, I like Palmer long term as well. Not really this week just yet. I just cannot start a Giants wide receiver. Like, I cannot do it. Like that passing game is going to be so bad. I think I would just roll the dice with McKenzie. I think he's going to be out there in the 3 wide receiver sets. I think this is going to be a game where both teams throw the ball like 40 plus times. I don't love any. I'm going to be honest. I don't love any of these guys. Like, I don't want to start any of these guys this week. Like, but if you have to, that's where I would.
Generally, I don't want to start Giants receivers either. But the thing is, this week they play Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee, I think, gave up like the third most passing yards last year, and they just lost Harold Landry, their top pass rusher for the season. That defense is struggling. It's not really going to be a good, defense that stops passing games in general. I think Wan'Dale could have a nice week one. Eventually, he might just be a guy, right? If they get Sterling Shepard back, if Tony's healthy and all this. But right now, I kind of like him in week one as a sleeper.
All right, what is he, like 120 pounds?
Yeah, he's a light sleeper.
All right, Chris, is Dylan a bad RB2? No, I think Dylan's a great RB2. You got Kamara, Pierce, Stevenson. I think you're okay at running back, actually.
Yeah, Dylan's a very good RB2, probably being undervalued.
This is one for you from Jonathan. Should I pick Akers fifth? Do you mean fifth overall or in the fifth round? Fifth overall? No chance. No.
I love Akers, but I wouldn't take him fifth overall. No, fifth round. Yes, you could take him in the fifth round. I mean, again, we're talking about, would you take him then if you're saying you take Pierce in like the sixth or seventh round? I mean, you take Akers ahead of him. I would, just because, again, there's people talking about Darrell Henderson. Look, Cam Akers will still be the guy if he's healthy. And right now, apparently, he's magically healthy, just like Henderson. I forget what Sean McVay says, right? Just forget that. Akers is going to be the guy. That's a really good offense. I'd rather have the guy on a good offense than the one who's on the Texans. That's just me. So I think Akers in the fifth is fine.
I mean, I'd rather have the guy with two Achilles. That's just me. But I'm going to be honest. Akers is not on any of my teams this year, so just not a guy I even think about. Like, what's the upside? I mean, he got, like, I don't know. If he can somehow get back to like pre-Akers health, but in the fifth round, I'm not really gonna game on that myself personally. Just not a guy I'm drafting. And this is really the only question that matters: a good pre-draft meal.
For us or for the players? I mean, if you're a player, you want to carve up
before your fantasy draft. I think you mean
for pre-draft meal. Oh, okay. Pre-draft. Let's see. You're thinking if you're watching football, usually you got wings and all this stuff. But pre-draft, you want to be focused, don't you? Yeah. You don't want all this grease and all this to weigh you down. I'm a fan of caffeine, as Chris and I. One day we're going to be sponsored by Bang energy drinks. Right?
Caffeine. Yeah, you gotta go get caffeinated.
Yep.
Don't eat sugary food. Don't eat greasy food. Don't eat pizza. You need to be That's for when you celebrate after you win once you crush your draft and you're like, I won this draft. Go get some wings. Go get some pizza. Have some beer. Whatever. Celebrate. But pre-draft, you gotta be focused. You gotta be ready. Caffeinate. Hydrate. That's what I got for you.
There you go. This is a trainer, right? The man knows what he's talking about. So, yeah, you celebrate after the draft. Otherwise, you're going to have to be drinking all week, every week during the season just to drown out your sorrows because you drafted such a bad team because you were wasted during your draft. So, yeah, eat light and save it for after the draft.
Yeah, all right, we did get a super chat from Ryan Leal here. St. Brown or Damian Harris in the flex this week?
That's an interesting question. Look, Damian Harris, his death in fantasy leagues is like greatly exaggerated. Yeah, Stevenson maybe is going to take over some of the duties, but Harris isn't just going to be sitting on the bench watching him. They'll use both guys. Harris is going to be solid play. He always has touchdown upside. I like the Dolphins in that game. I'm not sure Harris will get a ton of touches. As far as St. Brown, I think I'd rather start him this week because I do expect the Eagles to be up big and win big. It's not a great matchup for him personally. And remember, a lot of what we've been talking about all preseason is St. Brown won't be that guy who wins you your league because, remember, he did all that with nobody else out there, basically, right? No Hawk. Swift is always in and out of the lineup. They got Chark now. They got some more competition for targets. I think St. Brown is solid. Like, in its full PPR league, I think you probably get more out of St. Brown because with Harris, you're a little more touchdown dependent.
Yeah, I'm not starting St. Brown this week. There will be weeks where St. Brown is startable, but that the Eagles secondary was already, they gave up the fewest points to wide receivers last year, and now their secondary just got better. It got better, as did their entire defense. This defense is this is going to be a defense. You watch. It's going to be a defense by midseason. We're saying don't start your wide receivers against the Eagles. Don't start people against the Eagles. And St. Brown isn't a guy who can like hit a home run. He needs volume. He needs lots of catches. I'll take a chance Damian Harris, falling in the end zone. I'm not starting St. Brown this week. No way. I think that matchup's just stay away from that matchup, especially when it's the Lions. It's not like he's, attached to Josh Allen or something where you'd be like, screw the defense. So I'm taking Damian Harris here.
Yeah, Eagles defense, no joke. I honestly think they're going to be one of the best units this season.
Yeah. Tight end question: Ertz or Komet?
It's got to be Ertz. I mean, look, without Hopkins, Ertz should be one of the top targets. He's solid last year, anyways. He was a top 10 tight end. Komet, he could be the guy. Let's maybe see it first, right? Let's see how that Bears offensive line manages to hold up. So, and not a good matchup for the Bears at all.
No, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of good matchups for the Bears. When you're that bad, there's not really a lot of good matchups. Standard scoring, are you asking to start one of these guys in standard? I mean, you got to start Najee. I mean, you got to start all these guys. Like, what the heck? But, I mean, what?
This must be like a DFS question or something. There's no way you have all three of those guys.
Yeah. Gotta go Najee. You got like standard scoring. You're just chasing like touches, right, and yards. And touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in standard scoring, I would go Najee.
All right, Waddle or Gabe Davis at the flex? This is gonna be a tough one for you.
Come on, it's got to be Waddle. I mean, Davis, I get the hype, but going against the Rams, he could hit on some big plays. But again, Waddle, is a solid target. That Patriots defense, yes, they're good. But remember, they lost their top corner, which is J.C. Jackson. He's no longer there. This is not necessarily a shutdown defense. So you got to go Waddle.
I'm going Gabe Davis. I feel like we're disagreeing a lot so far.
What is the Waddle?
I think it's gonna be a game where these teams just throw the ball a ton. I want a piece of that. I mean, maybe he'll bust. Maybe he'll fall flat. Waddle probably safer, but man, give me the potentially of already having my week one after the Thursday night game. When Gabe Davis catches 2 touchdowns in an absolute shootout. So I'd rather have that. That's how I like it. All right, we got a trade question. Should I trade Lockett and or Robert Woods? Oh, well. Okay, okay. Pet peeve, these questions. Not trying to be mean. But, you just want us to, I can't just – it's hard to just throw out, running backs that you should trade these players for because – and I'm not trying to be mean, but trades aren't just about the players that you're trading. It's also about the person who has those players and how they value those players. So I might say, for Lockett, I don't want Lockett or Robert Woods. So you come to me and you say, hey, I'll give you Lockett for any running back on my team. I'm saying no. I don't care which running back it is. I'm saying no. Same with Robert Woods. I don't want those guys on my team. So I can't. It's really hard to say go try to get these running backs because some people might like Lockett. Somebody might really like Robert Woods this year, and you can get more. So this is where you got to kind of know your league and know your league mates and who values who, or just send out offers. That's another thing. If I don't really know my league, if I'm trying to trade Robert Woods for a running back, I'll go find a running back on their bench, but maybe and I'll just send the trade out and see what they do.
Yeah, in a vacuum, we'd say, would I trade Lockett or Woods to get a running back? Yes.
Yeah.
But that's easier said than done, right? I mean, you can want to do that, doesn't mean you can. In some leagues, if you have people who are active on the trading block, right? You put them on the trade block and other people know, and then they'll shoot you offers and whatever. And in some leagues, it's this big mystery, and nobody wants to show their hand, and you know what I mean? So it all depends. If you know your league mates very well, if it's a home league or something, just reach out to the guy is willing to deal, a guy that is open, to doing that. So, but just blanket statement, would I trade Lockett or Woods? Yes. But not just for a warm body. You don't just get any running back, right? So I wouldn't trade him for Isaiah Pacheco.
No. All right. I guess we got a draft question. CMC or Ekeler in full PPR? Who we drafting?
CMC. Look, I know a lot of us been bitten, but not once, but twice. But he still has the highest ceiling out of any player, basically in fantasy, including Jonathan Taylor. So you just got to go. You can't assume he will get hurt again with these small nagging soft tissue injuries. I go CMC.
Yeah, I think you got to go CMC there as well. All right, so Harris and Stevenson, I assume he means Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson who start.
It pains me to say it, but you got to go Ramondre because it sounds like he's going to be in the mix on the passing downs more often. That's what we keep hearing. We know Damian Harris doesn't catch passes. Like that's not like Ramondre Stevenson's strength, but apparently he's better at it than Damian Harris, and that's who they're going to use. So I got to go Ramondre.
Call me a sucker. I still go Damian Harris. I still think Damian Harris is going to get the bulk of the touches, going to get more of the goal line work. And I do wonder, it sounds like Ty Montgomery is okay and healthy. I wonder if he's the one who actually catches more of the passes than Stevenson.
He might. I mean, that's the thing is if he's healthy, and we'll see him worked in there. This is weird. I know we're switching. You're becoming the Damian Harris.
Well,
I'm like the denier, and you're the truther.
I like Stevenson too, but I think like people are forgetting that Damian Harris is really good, and he's still the lead back there. I think the hype got a little. I think it went a little like the pendulum swung a little too much towards Stevenson. I think we're going to see in week one like I don't think it's going to be like 80-20 Damian Harris. It might be like 55-45. Like it's going to be close. But I just think Damian Harris will still be the lead or whatever that's worth. That's a great start. Jefferson, CeeDee, and then Javonte in the third. Jacobs in the late round. I'm fine with Jacobs in the late round. Like, what kind of draft was that?
Yeah, I mean, depends how late. We don't know what round you're talking, but I mean, it's not like Jacobs is undraftable. That's the thing. Like all these guys do have value. He is still the lead back there. I'm a Zamir White fan. I'd rather have Zamir White because I think later in the season he'll help. They're going to start the transition, but early in the season, I think Jacobs will probably get more touches still. So don't be afraid to draft him. Same thing with Antonio Gibson. I'm not seeking him out, but there comes a point where he becomes a decent value, worth a shot. Like I just took him because he fell to like 90 something overall. Like why not? I took him. So Jacobs, depending how late you took him, it's fine.
All right, this should be an interesting one. Stevenson, Dillon, Chase Edmonds, or Penny for my running back 2 in week 1.
Okay, a lot of solid options.
Yeah.
So usually when we have these multiple options like this, we'll see who can we agree that we crossed out first, right? Who's the guy that you'd say probably not worth it?
In that group, I say Stevenson.
I would say Stevenson, yeah.
The other 3.
Just because, I mean, look, they're all in kind of timeshare except for Penny. Penny's the only one that really could have the backfield to himself because Kenneth Walker not healthy, not ready. And I would argue he has the most upside, except the fact going against the Broncos, and they're probably going to be down by 50 points. They're probably not going to run a whole lot. So you're really hoping and praying that he rips off a big run because otherwise it might be an ugly day for him. So to me, I would say it's either Dillon or Edmonds. I kind of am worried now a little bit that my Dolphins are going to give Raheem Mostert more carries than he should get, and that Edmonds might not see as much action because if they're winning against the Patriots, they might not throw it to the running backs as much. I think the Packers and the Vikings will probably be the highest scoring game out of all of these anyways. So for that, I think I'm leaning Dillon.
Yeah, this is definitely Dillon for me. Tomorrow's video, I will tell you why it's done. But for now, it's done. I'll just leave it at that. Little teaser there. All right, got another super chat from Ryan. Thank you. Breece Hall or Damian Harris for his RB2. I assume he means in week 1. If he means, well, I'll say this. If it's for your draft, easily Breece Hall.
Yeah.
If it's for week 1, not as easily, but still Breece Hall.
Yeah, still Breece Hall. We've talked about Harris, Stevenson, the whole Patriots thing for a while. Going against the Ravens, look, some people are worried Michael Carter is still the starter. Like, I don't care if he's the guy who's there on the very first drive of the game. It doesn't mean he's going to be the lead back. Doesn't mean that he's going to do more with it. Hall doesn't have to be the starter to be the better back. And I think we're going to see he's the better back. I can't guarantee he'll have a smash game in week 1, but, the Ravens defense isn't scary anymore like it used to be. think they're going to have to rely on Breece Hall quite a bit. You know, we got Joe Flacco out there, who I kind of actually low-key like this week. But look, Breece Hall, I think he's the guy who's going to catch more passes than Damian Harris. And his competition is a little less scary. So I'm not worried about Michael Carter as much as I'm worried about Ramondre Stevenson for the other guy. So I would go Breece Hall.
Agree. All right. Is Lamb a good pick at the 11th spot in 14-team half PPR?
I think so. 11. He usually doesn't go quite that early. I think that's fine because at that point, depends who else is available. Probably I would take a wide receiver over running back. Yes. Maybe if you can get Devontae Adams, I would take him over Lamb. The only other guy maybe you could argue is Diggs. I think I'd go Lamb though over Diggs. So I think that's pretty fine. That's fine to take him there.
Yeah, and always it comes down to who's on the board, right? If somebody falls, like for me, I know a lot of people aren't as high on him, but like if somehow Najee Harris is still there at the 11, I'm grabbing Najee Harris, which doesn't happen because a lot of people are off Najee Harris. So, but assuming like everything goes kind of standard draft, I think that's okay. I love CeeDee Lamb. So I think he has tons of upside. I think he could be there's a great shot to be the wide receiver one overall. So don't mind that pick at all.
And it's a half PPR league. Probably people will go running back heavy, but you never know. It all depends.
All right, this one's easy for me, but how about you?
Oh well, it's definitely Pittman. I mean, that's no brainer. You take the number one receiver on a good team over the number two guy
in a great matchup. I talk about him tomorrow too. Talk about him on tomorrow's video too. He's gonna smash this week. Gonna smash. All right, we got a keeper question. So he needs 3 in a keeper league. I'm gonna assume you just keep any 3 since you don't. There's no or. Oh, okay. So you pay fab for the guys. Okay, got it. So it's like an auction keeper. So Akers, Dobbins, Jacobs, Stevenson for 10, Hurts for 10, or Herbert for 15. Ayuk or Claypool 10 each. Keep 3.
I mean, I'm going to assume it's a 1 quarterback league, not 2 or super flex. I mean, if it is a 2 quarterback or super flex, you keep both those guys. If it's a 1 quarterback league, you pick, and I would pick Hurts.
Yeah, I would save the $5 and get Hurts. I don't think the drop off from Herbert to Hurts is significant enough. So I was going to say that one for sure. That's the one that really stands out. I think Ayuk is standing out to me for 10.
Yeah, I'm out on Claypool. I would say Ayuk for 10. That's solid. And then you know what I would say for running back. Obviously, we're not picking Dobbins or Jacobs. Between Stevenson and Akers, you still have to go Akers. I mean, come on, don't you?
Yeah, I think you go Akers, Ayuk, and Hurts, $30. I think that's the move. Definitely move. That's the move. All right, we got a trade question. Would you trade Kelsey and Judy for Pitts and Higgins in PPR?
I think so. I think I would, because even though I still have Kelsey as the number 1 tight end this year, Pitts won't be too far off, and I think Higgins is definitely a safer pick than Judy. I mean, look, Judy could be fine, but we keep hearing it's Cortland Sutton. That's the guy, right? Higgins is tied to Joe Burrow. You know, that's a solid connection. I mean, that's a pretty close trade. It's not like it's lopsided either way, but I would go with the Pitts Higgins side.
Yeah, me too. I think Pitts is a downgrade from Kelsey, but I don't think he's going to be way worse than Kelsey. And I think Higgins is going to be much better than Judy. So I would do that as well, yes.
Look, maybe. I'm not counting on it. I think it's going to be more next year, but maybe this is the year that Pitts just goes nuts and breaks out and has his monster season. It is. I'm not ruling it out, right? It's possible. So, yeah, I think Pitts Higgins is solid. Look, by the way, I have to show this to the bus, always with us. Thank you, bus. Agree. Hard agree.
All right. Where are we at? I gotta get back where we were. Okay, we were right here. All right, we have another trade question. Which side do you like more? CMC, Etienne, Hollywood, or this is Swift, Barkley, Sutton. Easy for me.
Yeah, those are like all your guys on one team, right? Swift, Barkley, Sutton.
CMC, if he stays healthy, over Swift, definitely. But I got Barkley over Etienne, and I got Sutton over Hollywood. So, and I still think Swift has top 5 upside. So even if CMC is healthy, it's not like Swift's going to, be way behind him or anything. So
I think this trade is pretty close. I mean, honestly, I don't think it all comes down to the running backs, right? Let's just assume all of them stay healthy the entire season. I think the Swift Barkley side has a little bit more upside.
All right, we got a super chat. Thank you from Kyle. Pick 2 in full PPR. Elijah Mitchell, AJ Dillon. Well, I already told you that AJ Dillon's going to smash this week, so certainly him. So it comes down to Edmonds or Mitchell.
I'm going to trust Mitchell because he's the guy. He's healthy, right? I mean, should be no limitations heading into this game. Right? We haven't heard of any. Not that we trust Kyle Shanahan, but I'm going to go with Elijah Mitchell. He's the lead back. Chicago, that's almost pretty much the best matchup they'll get all season, right? That defense is going to be pretty weak. Edmonds will be solid most of the year, but like I said earlier, I don't think this is necessarily the game he gets a ton of touches. So,
yeah, I do like Edmonds a lot, but New England defense is going to be definitely better than Chicago's. And we know Mitchell, when he's healthy, is the guy. I'm not worried about Jordan Mason or Jeff Wilson or Davis Price. So I go Mitchell Dillon as well. Let's see. Is Pittman worth in 3rd or 4th round? Yes, 100%. I mean, unless really crazy falls, unless there's somebody still crazy on the board.
I was gonna say, don't assume he'll be there in the 4th round because these days he's not. Yeah. He's definitely people have caught on. He's not going to fall that far. So if you want him, you're gonna have to get him in the 3rd round.
Yeah. Okay. We have another super chat. Thank you from V-Law. Thoughts on Robert Tonyan?
As a potential sleeper, yes, a sleeper. Here's the thing. I don't think either of us mind him as your second tight end. Let's just remember he is and will be what any tight end outside of that top couple of tiers, outside the top 12 really, is going to be is touchdown dependent. So if you are in a standard league, he's going to have more value. If you're in a full PPR league, it's going to be very volatile. I prefer a guy who could get me receptions on a week-to-week basis and still maybe get in the end zone. I really like David Njoku this year. I like him better than Tonyan. Gerald Everett's getting a little bit of hype. I don't think he's going to all of a sudden break out after 5 years, but I think he'll be fine because he's in a good offense. So I think Tonyan's fine, but to me, he's more like a low-end tight end too, because really it's kind of touchdown or bust. I mean, I don't think he's going to be used any differently, do you?
No, I think he's going to be kind of like Hunter Henry was last year. He's either going to get you one catch for 7 yards, or he's going to catch 2 touchdowns, right? And the weeks he catches 2 touchdowns, you're like, yeah, Robert Tonyan. And the weeks he gets 1 catch for 7 yards, you're like, why did I start Robert Tonyan? I'd rather just take a guy like David Njoku, who is tied to a quarterback, at least for the first 11 weeks, who will target the tight end and really has nobody. I mean, Amari Cooper, and that's pretty much it, and isn't coming off ACL. So that's where I'm going.
That is true. It's not like Tonyan relies on his speed, but still, he is coming off, and he wasn't 100% going through camp. So we don't even know exactly his week 1 status. So I think he's going to play, but again, don't expect he's going to come out the gate, and being one of the top targets. So.
Yeah, didn't he just come off PUP pretty recently too?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that I don't mind having him on my team. I'm not reaching for him. I don't think he's one of our top, breakout sleepers at tight end. Like I said, prefer Njoku. Everett's fine. Maybe Irv Smith. I'm not as excited about him anymore. But look, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see the same kind of thing from Cameron Brate as we do from Robert Tonyan. Guy who just catches a few touchdowns here and there. He might actually get more targets because, they got some struggles there in Tampa, although unless you think Julio Jones is going to be their tight end 1.
Might be a better role for him at this point. All right. AMC machine, I assume he means Breece Hall. What are our expectations for Breece Hall? So I'll just say what my expectations have been. Pretty much, at first I just thought Breece Hall was going to come in and own the backfield, and now it's like, okay, maybe he won't. But I still think I've always compared it to Jonathan Taylor 2020. He came into that situation. They had Nyheim Hines, a good pass catching back. They re-signed Marlon Mack, and everybody was like, "Oh, they don't believe in Jonathan Taylor." And first half of the year, he really didn't do much. Second half of the year, he won you or really helped teams win fantasy championship. I think we're going to see something similar from Brees Hall.
And you know what? That's a very good point. We try to keep making with these rookie running backs, especially think of the last couple of years. When do they really provide value? Which is when you want them to. It's late in the season. Some people will panic. Chris, you could probably cue it up right now for the week 1 panic video. People are going to panic about Brees Hall because they drafted him as RB2 and he doesn't have 100 yards and a touchdown in week 1. And it was a waste. He's a bum. Michael Carter. It doesn't matter. It's just week 1. All right. So let me tell you ahead of time right now, relax. Okay. It's week 1. And that's why I'm high on Zamir White. I don't care that he's not the lead back in week 1. I care that he's probably going to be the lead back in week 14. Remember Jonathan Taylor. Remember J.K. Dobbins did nothing the entire first half of his rookie season. And then now everybody loves him because that final 6-game stretch where he actually, hate to tell you, didn't do a great job running the ball. He just scored a touchdown every game. But anyways, that's what it comes down to. So can Brees Hall be the guy in the second half of the season for the Jets? Of course he can. That's why they drafted him as the first running back overall. That's why I'm not out on Kenneth Walker either, because look, he's not playing week 1. So what? By week 8, guarantee you Rashad Penny will be hurt and Kenneth Walker will be the guy. So that's what you have to always try to look ahead.
I agree with all of that. All right, we got a kind of a waiver wire question. Wants to pick up Isaiah Likely, but can't really drop anyone. Okay, that's fine. But I clicked this one because I wanted to talk about Isaiah Likely a little bit, because I think it's really funny to me that when they traded Hollywood Brown, and a lot of us got excited about Bateman and still are, but people said this offense can't support Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman. But now everybody thinks this offense can support Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, and Isaiah Likely. Unlikely that Isaiah Likely has any value this year unless Mark Andrews goes down. That's just my take.
I think he could have some value because here's the thing. We always say this, right? When do tight ends thrive? When the receiving core isn't very deep, when there isn't a guy who can really take away the attention. I love Rashad Bateman. He's going to be the alpha. I love Bateman. Okay, so basically Andrews is going to be still a stud tight end because of that. He's like the wide receiver too. Because who is the wide receiver too? I mean, honestly, I'm asking because I don't know.
Mark Andrews?
Huh?
Mark Andrews. I mean, it's kind of like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Like, I'm not saying okay, hold on. Before people comment and say, "Oh my God, this guy just compared Rashad Bateman to Tyreek Hill," I'm not saying Rashad Bateman is Tyreek Hill, but people always. This is why people fell in love. This is why people always fell for McCole Hardman, because they're like, they only have Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Well, the Ravens only have Rashad Bateman and Mark Andrews. I don't think there's going to be a third option on this team that you can trust week in and week out. So.
Yeah, I mean, look, is Likely going to be a guy you could start in fantasy? Probably not, unless Andrews gets hurt. Could he do something? Yeah, I think he could be the top rookie tight end, which doesn't really say a whole lot because what other rookie tight end is going to do anything? So I like him in Dynasty. I drafted him a couple of places, so I do like him. And this kind of every time I see something about Isaiah Likely, it feeds into my confirmation bias because I liked him before the draft, and then landing in the Ravens, I was like, oh, that sucks because they already have Andrews and then drafted Charlie Kolar, but now Likely is doing what I thought he might do. He's showing that he's a good receiver as a tight end. So he could have a role when they say, oh, he could be the number 3 target in this passing game. He probably will be because, honestly, is it going to be Devin Duvernay or James Prochet or Tylan Wallace? No, it's not. So I think Likely will get some targets, but is it ever going to be enough to start him in fantasy? No. I mean, honestly, his only role would be like to handcuff Mark Andrews, and handcuffing a tight end is generally not good policy.
No. All right, another super chat from Ryan. Thank you so much. Eagles or Titans defense this week?
Oh, that's a slam dunk. Titans defense never. Already talked about that. Like they're not a good defense anyways, and they just lost their best pass rusher. And the Eagles defense, I'm telling you, is going to be at the very least top 10 squad, if not top 5.
Yeah.
And they're playing the Lions this week.
Yeah, and it's the Lions. Eagles. Another super chat. Thank you. He needs to drop 2, I assume, for kicker and defense or something. I don't know. But Garrett Wilson, Nico Collins, KJ Osborne, or Zay Jones. Drop 2.
Well, for me, that's easy. Two of those guys are like my preseason favorites. My sleeper team, that's Nico Collins, KJ Osborne. Wilson, I really don't expect much early in the season. I don't think you need to hang on to him. And then Zay Jones, I think will be fine. But I mean, come on, it's the Jaguars. It's still going to have Christian Kirk first, and Etienne, and all that. So,
yeah, I agree. I would drop Zay Jones and Garrett Wilson. No one's picking. I don't think anybody's going to pick those guys. I think those guys will be on waivers later on if you want to grab them again.
By the way, Gentlemen's Hangout, that sounds like a pretty cool podcast. I'm going to check that out.
Is that a podcast?
That's what it says. Gentlemen's
It's on air. Maybe. Okay. Put a note. Put a note for that one. All right. This is pretty easy for me, but you never know. You never know how you and I may differ. Marquise Brown, Gibson, or Damian Pierce at the flex?
Look, despite the fact he's a starter in the Jaguars, that I wouldn't put Gibson over any of those other two guys, right?
No.
And then I get the whole Pierce hype. You feel like you have to start him, and he's going to dominate and crush and whatever, but I'm going to go with Marquise Brown.
Yeah, me too. Marquise Brown, no DeAndre Hopkins. I saw something where Zach Ertz is dealing with something. I think he'll be okay, but even still, like Marquise Brown might, get a 30% target share this week. So definitely Marquise Brown for me. Is Tom Brady a top 5 QB this year? I don't think so.
I don't even have him as a top 10 QB.
Yeah, I agree. I have him as he'll be good, he'll be solid, but I don't think, doesn't have healthy weapons like he's had in the past, and now he's got to deal with potentially a divorce, maybe? I don't know. So, yeah, a lot of red flags over there right now.
Gonna say he's gonna get the early hook, not from his coach, but from Giselle.
Yeah, exactly. All right, here's one that I know is going to be tough for you. Pittman or AJ Brown?
I mean, that's tough no matter what. That's a good problem to have. I'm hoping this is an 8-team league. I'm going AJ Brown. Look, going against the Lions, that's a good matchup. I have a feeling they're going to want to show off their shiny new toy. They're going to pepper Brown with targets. Pittman will have a good game. Look, I'm not saying you really should be starting Pittman against the Texans, but between the two, I go Brown.
I mean, you can't really go wrong with either. I'm going to go Pittman. He's my guy. He's in a great matchup. I can't say no to that. But you can't go wrong with either. I mean, this is like, you're going to be fine either way. All right, now this is a tough one, but we have talked about this a bit, and I guess maybe it's not tough when I think about it because we kind of have the similar. I think you and I both have kind of a similar strategy. Like, I know for me, my cutoff is Dallas Goedert. So if I can't get Kelsey, Andrews, or Pitts early, like maybe they get drafted before I want them, before I want to take them, or there's somebody on the board who I just really love this year, and I'm like, well, I'll try to wait and hopefully get one of those guys. Then the next guys I'm looking at are Schultz and Goddard. Maybe Kittle. If Kittle falls far enough, I'll take Kittle. Otherwise, Schultz and Goddard. Once those guys are gone, if I'm not able to get one of those guys, then I'm just punting. And I'm just grabbing somebody late, like we talked about earlier, like an Njoku or an Everett or just somebody like that. You feel the same?
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because in our endgame leagues, because everyone does the same, right? They follow our model and go wide receiver heavy so early. I find myself not intentionally with a lot of Kittle because he's kind of like the end of that tier, and I feel like he's a good value. So, but here, generally speaking, I would say unless there's a tight end premium, just regular PPR, no tight end premium, don't need to take a tight end in round 1. If Kelsey falls, to like early to mid part of round 2, you can pull the trigger there. If Pitts falls, late in round 3 or Andrews, you could take them if you feel like, that's a good value compared to what else is on the board. If not, I'm waiting. I don't mind taking Kittle or Schultz, like you were just saying, right? Like maybe round 5-ish, somewhere around there. And then if I don't get those guys, I'm just waiting and getting the best value late. It doesn't really make a difference. I think Hawkinson was fine, but he's falling down for me. I'm getting just a little less confident in him as really being a difference maker. So to me, I'd rather not spend a mid-round pick on him when I can wait. So,
yeah, I'll give you another little kind of like a pro tip, I guess, because I do this all the time. But I'm only in one league, other than my Dynasty leagues, where I actually have to start a tight end because that's the way I roll. And in that league, we missed out on Schultz. We thought we could get him on the next round, but the guy who already had a tight end also took Schultz because he's a huge Cowboys fan. And then we got sniped on Dallas Goedert. We don't even have a tight end on our roster right now. We don't have a tight end yet. And so instead, we just picked up an extra lottery ticket running back. We picked up Jeff Wilson with our last pick because it's I think right now Jeff Wilson is second in line. And if Elijah Mitchell were to get hurt in practice this week, not out of the question for this guy, I think it would be Jeff Wilson. But if it's not, then Sunday morning we're going to drop him for David and Njoku. So that's a little kind of pro tip. If you get to the point where you're like, man, I'm just going to punt tight end, you don't have to draft one. You can always grab there will be plenty of crappy tight ends that you could draft in the last round or just pick up on Sunday morning, and they're all pretty much the same. So that's kind of what I do when I punt.
People don't like streaming week to week because it's kind of a pain, and you're at the mercy of the matchups and the waiver wire. But it's not necessarily a worse strategy than picking up, like you said, drafting some random tight end at the end of the draft. You might as well just stream other guy who's a better matchup. So that's exactly right. Half of the top 10 tight ends generally from year to year, they rotate. Remember, Dalton Schultz was on 0 radars last year. Nobody drafted him. And now all of a sudden he's a stud. So yeah, you get a guy named Njoku, Komet. Some of those guys will jump into the conversation as TE1, And I should mention, I forgot that I do like Dallas Goedert quite a bit this year too. Yeah. But other than that, it doesn't matter too much.
Once Goddard's gone, maybe Ertz, if Ertz falls enough. But after that, I'm just if I was drafting today and I missed out on all those guys, and I know we're spending a long time talking about drafting tight end, but if I missed out, I would not even pick one today. I would just wait and grab one Sunday morning before the game. I would rather grab a handcuff running back. You never know what can happen in practice. You never know. Like nobody thought Brian Robinson wasn't going to be starting week 1. You just never know. You never know. All right, anyways, move on. We got another super chat from Arthur. Thank you. Flex, Bateman, Penny, or Dylan in half PPR. Half PPR. So that may make a difference. We'll see.
All right, and I should mention, I don't remember if you said this at the top of the show, guys. If you wonder why we keep showing these super chats, that is one way. We're getting a lot of questions now, so we're going to try to keep up, and this happens especially on Saturday. It's going to be pretty crazy. So we want to try to answer all your questions. If you want to kind of get that fast pass, skip the line, we will always go to the super chats first. So, of course, we always appreciate that. Completely optional. But if you do super chat, we will answer your questions right away. So let's get to Arthur's. It can't penny too much risk there. I know your answer here has got to be Dylan. Bateman, look, going against the Jets, I think he's going to be peppered with targets. I know it's half PPR, but still, going against the Jets, I think it's too good to pass up. So I'm going to slightly lean Bateman.
Yeah, I'll still go Dylan just because it's half PPR, but I think both those guys could have great games. So I think it's either way. And also, just kind of piggyback on what Pierre just said about the super chats, we also have a private Sunday morning show that we do with our patrons, where we have all the last minute, most up to date information, and we sit down and we really dive into your teams, and we can look at all your teams if you're in multiple leagues, really help you with those lineups, really help you with those decisions. So that's another option for you. Very affordable. I don't know what word to use. Very cost effective. I'll say that. Help you take home those
economical.
Okay, economical.
Very worthwhile. I'll put it that way.
It's very worthwhile. All the links to everything we're talking about, by the way, is down in the description. So, okay, where were we at here? Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out where we were at. We're getting a lot of comments. Definitely appreciate it. Appreciate everybody being on here with us right now. Okay, so I'm gonna assume this is for draft. Jalen Hurts or Kyler Murray?
I got Hurts over Murray. And this is any sort of favoritism. It's just I think Hurts is going to have a great season. Murray's without his top target, but also there's some change. What they should be changing is their head coach. I'm not a Cliff Kingsbury fan. I really don't think that he's really fully aware of what's going on. So, anyways, I'm going Hurts.
Oh, this one's really close for me, but I think with the weapons, I do lean Hurts. I think I lean Hurts, and plus, come on, he's right. I got to go with Hurts, right? I got to go. All right. Better bench stash, I guess. Darrell Henderson or James Cook?
I mean, it's a little different, really, because if Akers is healthy, to me, Henderson's not 1B. He's more just a backup. So he's more of an insurance policy, higher ceiling, but lower floor. Cook is going to be more of a floor guy because he'll be the pass catcher, but he's never going to be the guy, right? In Buffalo, that team is not going to run anybody into the ground. So I would prefer to have Cook, who I know could give me some contribution from week to week. But Henderson, I get it, because potentially it could be like last year, right? He's somebody you could start weekly basis.
Yeah, I got to go with Henderson. I mean, I wasn't very high on James Cook anyways. I didn't like the landing spot. He's nothing more. He's like Nyheim Hines, basically, but on the Bills. That's all his role will ever be, right? Is catching passes. He's not like, even if Devin Singletary goes down, it'll just be Zach Moss in the early game. It won't be James Cook. They'll never get more touches. And for me, those guys, like, they don't do it for me. Like, sure, they're fine. They're fine in a pinch. Like, okay, fine. I got tons of guys on buys. I can throw them in and get my 8 to 10 points. But like you said, Darrell Henderson, we saw it last year. If Akers goes down again or whatever, he's going to have a huge role in this offense. So I would rather stash him.
I'm a little bit, honestly, I'm kind of a James Cook fan, and I didn't want to admit it because he was so hyped up after he got drafted to Buffalo. Like, I just didn't want to look like I was on the, on the bandwagon there. But I think it's died down now. I do like Cook. I think he's more talented than like a Nyheim Hines as a runner. It's just, there's limit to what he can do because Buffalo obviously doesn't go through the running game. But I kind of like Cook.
It's also only 190 pounds or whatever it is. Like, those guys typically don't.
Who needs that? You need weight. You need weight. That's why Tutu Atwell. You're a hater, but Tutu Atwell is going to slay in fantasy this year.
No. The problem with 190 pounds, you can't handle 15 plus carries. At least you can't do it week in and week out and survive. That's the problem.
It's not a problem if nobody touches you. If you're so fast.
Okay. I mean, okay. All right. Let's move on. All right. Week 3, wide receiver 3 for week 1. These are your wide receiver 3s? I got to go Sutton. I mean, I like all these guys a lot, but Sutton against Seattle, Russell Wilson revenge week, I got to go Sutton.
Yeah, definitely Sutton week 1 against Seattle. That's wide receiver 3, really?
All those guys are your potential wide receiver 3. That is insane.
14 league?
Yeah, right? Exactly. All right, let's see here. Let's get back where I'm at here. All right, this is gonna test me. Zeke or Akers week 1?
I mean, those are both not great matchups, and look, I do think I would go with Zeke just because he's still going to be the guy that gets most of the carries there. They're going to need him. I think he gets more touches. I go with Zeke.
I guess. This is a question I can't answer because I don't have any of these guys, and I'll never have to make this choice because I don't have either of these guys. I guess Zeke. I feel better about Zeke getting more work. The matchup is brutal though. Like Tampa Bay, like you just don't run the ball in Tampa Bay. That's the problem. Like nobody runs the ball on Tampa Bay. You don't run the ball in Tampa Bay. So that's my worry with Zeke is if they're throwing the ball a lot, it's going to be more Tony Pollard than Zeke this week. So, but Akers, I mean, I still worry about Akers. Like he did not look good at all in that playoff run. And Marlon Mack not only couldn't beat out Damian Pierce, he couldn't even beat out Rex Burkhead apparently because they decided to keep Rex Burkhead and release Marlon Mack. Now I know they signed him to the practice squad, but still, it's like we gotta. I mean, these Achilles injuries are no joke. These are serious injuries. So I gotta go Zeke, but I mean, God, I hate it. Hate it. All right, this guy's hype has kind of died down, but I guess it's still there. Will Pickens be better or worse than his ADP?
I think he'll be probably a little better, honestly, just because he's going to be a guy who makes those splash plays. I think he might surprise some people. Look, sometimes it doesn't matter you've been there or not. If he's making an impact, he's standing out. He could take more targets from Claypool, right? Claypool is a guy who kind of hasn't taken that next step forward. He's kind of stagnated. So, and this is not Big Ben, who's got his favorites where he's going to throw to Deontay Johnson every time and then Claypool and then maybe the rookie. No, this is a fresh start here. So I kind of like Pickens more and more. I think he'll be fine, but don't count on him on a week-to-week basis. He's going to be very volatile.
I mean, I definitely think he'll beat his ADP because what is his ADP? Like wide receiver 40 something.
Yeah, it's not crazy. I mean, because he was going from kind of not really drafted to being drafted. It's not like it got out of control. Like Damian Pierce is kind of out of control, but
yeah, I mean, he'll beat his ADP because really to beat his ADP, he just needs to be involved. If he's involved and has scored some touchdowns, he'll probably beat his ADP. So, yeah. All right, another super chat from the Illuminati. All right. Kelsey at pick 11 in full PPR, then going running back next turn.
I think you can definitely do that. I mentioned this earlier. Prefer Kelsey early second round, but if you're going 11 around this, it's the same thing, right? So it depends which running back's available because look, if you have a guy like Barkley or Swift sitting there, you can't guarantee they'll be available after the turn. So maybe take that running back first, unless you think the guy who's picking 12 is going to take Kelsey. It depends on the running back situation. You know what? But like generally speaking, is that a good strategy? I think that's fine.
Yeah, like he said, it depends on who's there. If for me, it's going to be like if Najee again, I'll say that because I know in a lot of leagues he does drop because people hear the narrative that he's not going to catch many passes and he's going to lose work and he sucks and the offense line, all this stuff. Or if DeAndre Swift or Saquon or even like CeeDee Lamb or Stephon Diggs are there, or even maybe Adams, I'm not taking Kelsey over those guys. I'd rather chance Kelsey coming back around to me. So that's the thing about these questions. It's hard because every draft plays out different. You never know. You never know who's going to fall. You never know who you're going to be staring at when it's your turn. Like, wow, I never thought this guy would be here. You know what I mean? So you just never know.
Yeah, but generally speaking, if you do that, I wouldn't feel like that's a bad strategy. No, you sure. can. I wouldn't say no, don't do that. Like I think that's fine, but look hard at the running back situation first. Like I said, if a guy like Ekeler is there at 11, take Ekeler.
Yeah, like if Ekeler falls or something, yeah, definitely. How do you feel about Braxton Berrios?
Oh, well, that's an easy question. Let me see. So this is my first love. I'm a Dolphins fan. Y'all know I'm a Dolphins fan. That's nothing compared to the fact that I bleed green and orange. So Braxton Berrios represents the U very well. No, look, Braxton Berrios, he made some noise at the end of last season. Don't sleep on the fact that a slot receiver who can get open across the middle of the field is a quarterback's best friend. So I know we love Elijah Moore. I definitely love Elijah Moore. Garrett Wilson, if he's not making a lot of noise, which he really isn't, you know what? Berrios could see some targets. So I actually kind of like Berrios as a deep, kind of a stash. Obviously, you don't want to start him unless you need him, but I think people are sleeping on Berrios. I do like him.
Yeah, deep league flex option. PPR. Deep PPR league flex option. There you go. All right, Brandon Cooks or Chase Edmonds have PPR.
For this week, go with Cooks, just based on the fact that Texans generally will have to pass a lot to keep up. So I like Cooks.
Yeah, I agree. Is Ekeler overrated? I agree. He doesn't get 20 touchdowns again. But remember, the 2 years prior, 3 years ago now, I guess, Melvin Gordon held out the first 4 games, came back, was a beast that year. I think in the games Melvin Gordon played, he was like the RB7 that year. And Ekeler was still the RB4. And then 2 years ago, despite missing, he missed 4 or 5 games in the middle of the season with that quad or hamstring injury, whatever it was. He was the RB7 in points per game. And he only scored, I think, 3 or 4 touchdowns that year. So he's a guy, because of his pass catching, if we're talking PPR, doesn't need 20 touchdowns. Now, 20 touchdowns gives him the chance to be the RB2, and have like a monster season. But if Ekeler's there at the 11, you take Ekeler.
Yeah, look, when you have a guy who's the top running back on one of the best offenses in the league, and he's pretty close to being a bell cow back, definitely not overrated. That's what you're looking for. That's why he's a first round pick, right? He's going to be the guy. There's nobody who's going to take away, touches from him. If anybody else gets touches in the backfield, it's to give him a rest. So yeah, he won't get 20 touchdowns, but he's still an RB1, and he's a pretty safe pick. Guys, just so you know, because I'm seeing them piling up on the side, we're getting a ton of questions. We're going to try to go through these as much as we can, as fast as we can. I know. So start sit questions. Like I said, Saturday we'll be there for quite a while in the afternoon every week. So definitely ask us. If you have draft questions, we're going to try to prioritize those right now, but we will answer as many questions as we can. Super chat is always a way to get to the front of the line. I kind of feel bad. I've seen this question like 10 times here, so I'm just going to answer it for Evan. He really wants to know, should he start Juju or Judy in PPR?
I think you got to go Judy this week. I just expect Russell Wilson to have a huge game. Like, I love Sutton, but I mean, if he's going to have a huge game, Judy's going to probably have a good game too.
Seattle might have the worst secondary in the league right now. I mean, if you think maybe Russ will be slightly motivated to put up points this week, they're going to pass. They're not going to sit back and run the ball. So you got to go Judy, especially we really don't know what Juju is going to look like in that offense.
True. All right, let's go. Let's try to get some draft questions in here because that was what we were shooting for today. Tips on a 2 QB league with 3 flex spots. Now that is a man's league. Okay, I shouldn't say that. Probably. That is a real fantasy football league. Like, you gotta know your stuff in a league like that for sure.
That was a diehard, but that's good. That's what we love. We love those. Yeah. We had a question similar to this in the Discord earlier, which, by the way, we answer a lot of questions throughout the week, and I should say throughout the entire year, every day, all day. On Discord, we just chat, and you can get answers not just from us, but from the community. We have a lot of smart guys already in the endgame community. So join Discord, talk football anytime you want. But it kind of depends on your draft slot. So a 2 QB league, okay, let me just say this. You want to come out with at least one quarterback, I think, in the first 2 rounds. But you don't have to get both starting quarterbacks right away, because especially if everybody's zigging, you can zag and you can get a guy like Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase and then come back and get a solid quarterback with your other pick, or, other way around. So you do want to not wait too long. If you wait too long, the quarterbacks will be dried up and then you wind up starting Zach Wilson every week, and you don't want to do that. So definitely take a quarterback in the first 2 rounds and then kind of wait and see how it goes. If everybody's taking both their quarterbacks right away, you know what? I would say grab one of those studs at the other positions and then get a guy, you know what I mean? You can get by with somebody like a Jameis Winston or a Matt Ryan, who are kind of not exciting, but have good upside. But you don't want to get stuck, I would say, with Carson Wentz. You know what I mean? So do you feel probably the same way, or you want to get those 2 quarterbacks right away?
Well, because it's 2 QB, you have to start 2. And
not super flex.
Yeah, and I was in a 2 QB league for a few years, and unfortunately, I say unfortunately because I really loved it. I think I loved it because nobody else understood that it was 2 QB. We switched to super flex this year, and my mindset was I always wanted 4 good QBs, because you don't want to get, like you said, you don't want to get hung out to dry. Either and this happens, not having a second QB, because you drafted, let's say, you got Mahomes, but then you waited and got, Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield or something like that, and they get hurt, right? Those guys get hurt, and now you don't have another, and there's no, you're picking up their backup off a waiver wire and getting 8 points. Maybe you're not even getting their backup because somebody else needs a QB and they snipe you on their backup, and you don't even have a QB. That happens. So our mindset was we always wanted 4 QBs that we liked. Who those are for you is going to be different. With it being 3 flex, you can't go too crazy on the QB. And obviously, it always comes down to the draft, and you got to kind of feel how that's going. Are QBs falling? If QBs are falling, maybe you wait a little bit. If QBs are going really early, you don't want to, like I said, it's not super flex. You don't want to get hung out to dry and, like you said, have Zach Wilson, Daniel Jones, and Carson Wentz as your 3 QBs in a 2 QB league, because you're gonna get decimated there. So the 3 flex does devalue the QB a little bit more than like say like a standard one flex type of league, but still, I think I want to have like 4 QBs I feel good about because you don't want to get hung out to dry at the QB position, which is such a high scoring position, right? So that's the way to go. But again, you don't have to like go QB first 4 rounds or something. You still like get a really good one, get those guys in the kind of middle tiers, and do it that way. All right, let's try to find some more draft questions here. Ooh, I don't know. Let's see. You see any draft questions? If you see a draft question, put it up there.
Let's see. Oh, we did have did we already show this, by the way? Somebody, Danny G, big shout out.
There you go. Yeah.
Talk about loyal community members. He's active on Underdog, definitely one of our top drafters.
Yeah, let's try to find okay, here we go. What's the earliest you take Nick Chubb?
That's all you. Go for it.
No, never. I mean, not never, obviously. If he was like my RB2, when I already felt good about my wide receivers, I would take him. there. 5th round, maybe 4th round. That's probably where it is. Unless it's standard scoring, where I don't have to worry about him not catching any passes, then I'll take him higher. But assuming it's any kind of PPR, 4th, maybe 5th round.
I'd go 4th. I mean, if these are in the 4th round, that's already it's pretty good value for you because by then you should have, if you're going anchor RB, you already have 1 rock solid running back and 2 receivers, so that's fine. You take Nick Chubb and then you can wait and get a tight end later. I wouldn't. I know that's not the question, but I don't think I would take him as my anchor RB. If you went receiver, maybe even look, if you had 4 receivers in a row, Chris, I'm asking you directly because you could do this. If you had 4 receivers and then 5th round, Nick Chubb is there, would you take him as your anchor?
Yeah, absolutely. Because Nick Chubb is your RB1 in like, I guess, a pseudo 0 RB build. It's great.
Yeah. It's kind of almost a 0 RB, but
yeah, your wide receiver should already be like, if you're doing 4 straight wide receivers, you should have tons of upside from your wide receivers. You don't need your running back then to also have tons of upside. But yeah, definitely.
All right, here's a draft one. I think Waddle or DJ Moore in a PPR draft.
Definitely
Waddle. And I'm not down on DJ Moore. I'm not as high on him as some others in our community, but I'm not as low on him as most others. But yeah, gotta be Waddle.
Yeah, and then here's a good one. At the 1-2 turn in a 12 team, between Swift, Kelsey, and Diggs, which 2 are you taking? And this is probably going to be a question most people at the turn are going to face, for sure.
That's pretty much where those guys will fall. That's a good question. We talked about the Kelsey thing. If it's between Kelsey and Diggs, more often than not, I'm taking Kelsey, but I totally get if you're taking Diggs. Like if Devontae is there, I'm taking Devontae, but I would go Swift, and then personally, I'd probably go Kelsey.
All right, see, we're not going to help you. Wait, which 2 did you pick?
Swift and Kelsey.
Yeah, see, I'm going to go Swift and Diggs. For me, it's like I just would rather wait and try to get Schultz or Goddard or somebody like that later. Maybe I miss. But to me, like, I don't think Kelsey – like, I don't think we're going to see 2020 Kelsey ever again. That was, like, one of the best tight end years we've ever seen. I think we'll still see very good Travis Kelce. Just for me, it's just like I don't hate it. Like I'm not gonna like somebody wants to take like Swift Kelsey, I'm fine with that too. But for me, it's gonna be Swift. I know we didn't really help you there because now you have the same decision. But at least you know Swift. At least Swift is what we both agree. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it kind of depends. What receivers, how early are people in your league taking a receiver? To me, I think.
Well, it also depends, I think, on your starting rosters. If you only have to start 2 receivers, then that would make me kind of lean Kelsey a little bit more because I feel like at the 3-4 turn, if I go Swift Kelsey, I can probably still get 2 really good receivers at the 3-4 turn. Whereas if you're starting 3 wide receivers or 3 wide receivers in a flex, for me, I don't want to give up that positional advantage of wide receiver for Kelsey. So,
yeah, to me, I'll just say I don't think Kelsey will be as efficient ever as he has been. Those numbers are going down a little bit, but without Tyreek Hill, that's a ton of targets. And look, MVS, I'm not worried about. Sky Moore will be fine, but it'll take a while. And then Juju, I really think we'll see Kelsey's target share go up from last year. So that's my reason.
And then this is a common question we're getting, and it pertains to drafts. Do we have any concern with Najee's Lisfranc?
No, because even though you hear that sounds scary, but it's not the same as, some other players who've had it. This was a minor one. We've, seen that medical experts have saying it's really nothing to be concerned about. If he's out there in week 1, it's not a concern.
Yeah, and not only that, he played the first half of the preseason game. If there was any concern, it's still not healthy, he might re-injure it, he wouldn't have even been out there for that game. He sure wouldn't have been out there for an entire half. So I'm kind of looking, maybe I'm I got my glasses are too rose colored, but I'm kind of looking at it oh, cool. He got it out of the way in the preseason because, a lot of running backs, especially the high touch guys, are going to get banged up and probably miss a couple games, maybe 3 games. Hey, cool. Because this probably would have been a 3 to 4 week absence for him if this happened during the season. So I'm okay, cool. You got that out of the way already. Now you won't miss any games this year, hopefully.
Well, maybe cool is if other people get worried and then they wait and then Najee falls in drafts and you get him at the end of the first round, which
that's what I'm saying. It's happening. I think in a lot of drafts he can be there at 11. So I'm not sure. Better late round target. I'm not sure Pollard is usually a late round target, but if he is, definitely Pollard over Hines for me.
Now Pollard is going now in the 80s or 90s overall, whereas Hines is kind of 120-ish. So Pollard, you're not going to get him at the end of a draft. You're going to have to take him as a high-end RB3, basically, or a low-end RB2. I think people are catching on. Pollard is going, kind of that 6th, 7th round area a lot of times. So Pollard is definitely the better target. But if you're going to wait, well, it's going to be Hines.
Yes, I'm looking for more. All right. I know. Okay, we already did that one.
Well, here's a Najee-related question.
Okay, put it up there.
This is a draft question. Kamara or Najee?
Definitely Najee first round. Okay, it's funny. Okay, I just tweeted this out yesterday. So everybody, you listen to all these quote unquote, experts, analysts, whatever they call themselves these days. They say you can't draft Najee Harris. Efficiency was terrible. Receptions might go down. The offensive line is terrible. You can't draft Najee Harris. Meanwhile, Alvin Kamara averaged 3.7 yards per carry last year, which is abysmal. And if you say, oh, but he had that knee sprain, look at his yards per carry before the knee sprain, it was still abysmal. Only 3.6 receptions per game last year, which is 2 receptions lower than he had the previous 3 years. And he's behind a terrible offensive line. So why is Kamara a value and Najee is a bust? I don't get it. No, it's Najee. It's Najee Harris. He's getting all the work, all the touches. He's not 27 or 8, whatever Kamara is going to be this year. He doesn't have 1,200 plus touches on him. Doesn't have that wear and tear. It's Najee.
Yeah, and look, no disrespect, because maybe a first-time viewer, but if you watched anything we've put out ever this whole season, Najee's a first round and a top 5 pick. Kamara, we're both a little worried about. I'm coming around on him a little bit, but I wouldn't draft him in the first 2 rounds, although it's pretty close. We have, where is it? Okay, this is a good one because we've talked about both these guys kind of interchangeably. Okay. Draft Saquon or Swift.
almost 5 receptions a game last year. I mean, we're talking about over 17 games. We're talking about over 100 catches. Not saying he's going to do that, but he has that potential. Any running back who has the potential to catch 100 passes will smash in PPR, regardless of what he does on the ground, regardless of how many touchdowns he scores. He will smash in PPR. Love Barkley, but I got to give Swift the slight edge.
It's really close. It's kind of almost a matter of preference. But if you're looking at adjusted final draft rankings, which, by the way, if you're a patron, you will see those on our page. But I have Barkley a little bit higher because I think he's also going to catch 50-plus passes. But he has no competition for touches in the backfield. They'll use Jamal Williams a little bit here and there, maybe Justin Jackson. I don't know that Swift is still got that, he's still lacking that like warrior mentality. They might get banged up a little bit. I don't know that he'll be out there as much. And Barkley, I mean, he's a home run hitter. Swift can, but we know Barkley has done it. I have Barkley a little bit higher, but honestly, I don't mind taking Swift. And look, I do so many drafts that when I have the choice between the two, I kind of flip flop. I'll take one and then the other just for some, different exposure.
Yeah. All right, I got to take this one. Otherwise, I'm going to sleep on the couch tonight. So.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know what that means, I mean, you guys can probably figure it out. Okay.
Long-time listener. It's because she has to listen to it every day. Listen to it in the other room.
Okay. And then she hits us with this question. What's the best strat? RB1, RB2, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, except I don't know. This isn't actually, I don't understand this question.
I think you missed the end of it. My husband no longer wants to. I think your husband might be bitter from being defeated in the championship game.
Man.
All right, so I'll help you out, Francis. Don't worry, I got your back.
I had to lose to her. Like, come on, you don't beat your wife, and
Wait, hold on. We're live. Are you saying you threw the game? Are you? Is that what you're saying?
I did not throw the game. She beat me fair and square. Her team went. Look, I had Antonio Brown. We all know how that ended. We all know what happened. Antonio Brown.
You're digging yourself out of the hole. Don't worry. Okay, I'll take this over. All right, Francis. Best draft strategy. Honestly, we prefer anchor RB. Go RB1. It depends on what you draft, right? Wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, and then depending, maybe wide receiver 3, and then you can wait on your second running back. So yeah, you don't necessarily want to go robust RB.
Yeah, definitely. Like RB in round 1 or 2, depending on who you get or who's there, what wide receivers are there. Then I'm going to attack a wide receiver. And again, it comes down to the league format. If it's like your standard 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex type of league, I'll probably go running back earlier. I might go running back in the 3rd. I might go running back in the 4th because, again, you only need 2 wide receivers. So chances are you can get 2 very good wide receivers still. If it's a deeper league, like 3 wide receiver and a flex, then I'd be way more inclined to go anchor RB.
But when you have a guy in your league who drafts so many wide receivers early, right? Yeah, he's trying to.
I may not be in that league. All right, let's go.
Blasphemy. All right, Danny G, robust RB is the best.
Robust RB may actually win a lot of people a lot of money this year because we did just have a really down running back year. People are kind of overreacting to that this year, and wide receivers are going early and running backs not as early. It could work, but all right. Way too early. Damian Pierce, round 4, way too early for me. There's better running backs in round 4 than Damian Pierce.
What you always have to think about is, are you drafting him at basically his ceiling? Like, he has to really hit in order for that to happen. It could happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but unless you really, really think Damian Pierce is the guy, have you thought this all along, or is it just because of what he did in the preseason? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, the other problem, even if he hits, it's not that Damian Pierce in round, like, then you say, oh, it was a good pick in round 4. No, because you could get him in probably round 6. So you could have taken somebody else in round 4 who also hits, and then still gotten Damian Pierce. So I don't think you need to reach for him that high.
No,
that's the thing. All right, do you see any more? I'm looking for. Let's see.
Seeing a couple of sarcastic comments. We'll just pass on the look. Devin Duvernay is not the next Tyreek Hill, so I'm gonna just say no to that.
Okay. Okay. Wait. This is gonna test your loyalty. Here we go.
Okay, look. Trey Lance has the upside. We know this. But we're also finding out more and more that Kyle Shanahan really does not want Trey Lance to be the guy. He really doesn't. Like he didn't want to draft him, didn't want to start him last year, and he didn't. He got his way. He got Jimmy G. They just re-signed Jimmy G as the backup, the highest paid backup in the league. Why did they do that? I'm guessing Kyle Shanahan had something to do with that, right? He might be waiting for an excuse to give Lance the hook. And this is just the way Shanahan is. He hates rookies, right? He hates guys that don't fit his system perfectly. So I'm getting more and more nervous about Lance. I know he has tremendous upside, but he's really going to have to show and prove he's the guy. So I still have Lance ranked higher just because, yes, you want that upside. But man, I wouldn't feel great. And honestly, unless you're in a league where everyone drafts one quarterback and that's it, and you can play waivers, I would draft Tua or Cousins or a guy like that as my second quarterback to hedge my bet.
I don't know. I still love Lance. I still love that rushing upside. I'm not worried about it.
Well, I do too. I just don't love. I don't think Kyle Shanahan loves it.
Yeah, maybe not, but I mean, like if it's a one, like I talked about this with Hurts last year. Actually, I remember I said this. I said, look, the upside is top 5 league winning QB. The downside is you drop him and pick up some other QB. Like like Pierre said, unless you're in like some weird league where everybody stashes like two or three QBs, and you know what? If they do that, then you should crush them anyways because it means your team outside of QB should be incredible. Because when they're drafting their second QB and their third QB and they're probably taking QB super early, you're getting really good players. So I still go Lance because for me, it's like, you know what? If he busts or gets benched, I don't care. I'll just drop him and pick somebody up off waiver. There's not like in a 1 QB league, my QB is not going to make or break my season most of the time. So.
No, probably not.
All right. Should you keep Terrace Marshall in a half PPR dynasty?
I mean, there's really no reason to anymore. I mean, I've got to think if they traded for Laviska Shenault, they weren't set on Marshall being their guy, right? And they added Rashard Higgins. When you see moves like that keep happening, and again, it wasn't like Shenault was cut. They traded for him. That means they're not completely satisfied with their wide receiver group. So Marshall, didn't hear anything great about him in camp. You can drop.
I didn't like Marshall coming in as a pro. I didn't understand all the hype for him anyways. So, yeah, to me, it's like
he's an LSU receiver.
Well, there you go. Okay, true. There you go. All right. 7th pick, full PPR, assuming these are the choices on the board, I guess. Who are you picking?
It's easily Cook. I don't have Mixon as a first rounder. I don't have Kamara as a first rounder. It's a little early for Cook. I mean, do you have to take Cook? I mean, is there somebody else? Look, if those are the best running backs available, then that means maybe Jamar Chase or Cooper Kupp is available, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. If Chase or Kupp are still on the board, I'm going those guys. If this is it, if this is my choice for some reason, maybe it's like a keeper league, right? So a bunch of those guys are kept, and these are the guys who aren't kept. I go Mixon. What's the difference between Cook and Mixon? Mixon has a great O-line, a great offense. They're probably going to catch the same amount of passes. They're probably going to play the same amount of snaps. I'm going to go Mixon.
I think Cook is going to be more involved in the passing game this year than Mixon because they're going to.
Why?
Okay, well, they're going to a more pass-happy offense, right? With coming in. Huh? 11 personnel, right? They're going to use him as a pass catcher. They like him as a pass catcher. They're obviously not crazy about Madison because they're shopping him. But Mixon is going to have, they even said they're going to have less work for him on third downs. Evans is going to get used more. So I think he goes down a little bit in receiving work. I think Cook might even go up a little bit. So it's close. But honestly, the best answer here is take a receiver.
Yeah, that's the best answer. I think Cook's receiving thing is, like, he's never really been a big receiver, but we'll see. I'm just low on Cook. But yeah, I don't want to draft any of these guys at the 7. It's way too early for all of them. All right, let's see. Do we have any more draft questions? Dynasty? I mean, I'm sure we do. We have a lot.
We got a waiver wire question here. Let me throw
All right,
this
grab
up.
the waiver wire. Let's go do waiver wire.
Okay.
Yeah, Rachaad White.
Rachaad White. Look, McKissick week 1, actually not a bad play because they're thin on running back, as you know. It's basically Antonio Gibson, who, if he fumbles, will, not play the rest of the game. It's going to be 100% J.D. McKissick, right? I mean, I think McKissick is decent, but again, his ceiling is pretty capped. Rachaad White, potentially, not to get hyperbolic, but could be a league winner, as Chris has said many times, right? Rachaad White is a great pass catching back. Gio Bernard isn't really in the mix anymore in Tampa. Leonard Fournette is, a Big Mac away from being on the bench. So Rachaad White, worth it. Definitely worth it.
I mean, Rachaad White is basically a younger, better, bigger J.D. McKissick. Maybe McKissick gives you a little bit more early on in the season. But once Brian Robinson comes back, his role is going to be nothing more than a pass catcher. Rachaad White, if Leonard Fournette misses any games, Rachaad White is like a must, absolute. You have to start this guy every single week with tons of upside. So, I'd rather have that guy on my bench than a McKissick who's like, oh, well, okay, I got a few guys on a bye. Let me throw them in there and get my 10 points this week or whatever it is. So,
right. If this was a who do I stream in week 1 question, it would be McKissick. If it was who do I stash on the bench, it's definitely White.
All right, second pick. This is a pretty hotly debated topic here with the second pick, full PPR, and it doesn't matter 12 team, 10. This applies to any team, right? Any league size. So anybody who has a second pick, full PPR, are we taking CMC? Assuming JT goes 1, are we taking CMC or Jefferson?
It's really so tough. Look, the smarter pick is probably Jefferson because he's a receiver. He's rock solid. For some reason, I still have CMC number 2 in my rankings, though. So, man, I don't know. I really think it should be Jefferson, but my gut can't get me to not see the ceiling with CMC and take it.
Yeah, it's funny because my cousin has his draft today, and he texted me. He said, "I got the number 2 pick. It's CMC, right? Assuming Taylor's gone." I'm like, I got CMC at 5. Like, that's where I feel comfortable taking CMC is like 5. Like, I get it. I get the ceiling. I get the upside. I get all that. But I also get the fact that he's only played 10 games in the last 2 years. And this isn't like a guy who, doesn't have wear and tear on him. He has wear and tear from college, his pros. I think I go Jefferson. I just go Jefferson. I say, you know what? Maybe I regret it. Maybe. But I think Jefferson's going to be awesome. I think Jefferson's going to be awesome. Maybe he won't be, healthy CMC level awesome, but I think he'll be awesome enough. I go Jefferson. All right. I assume this is for draft. Lenny or Swift?
Oh, definitely Swift.
Definitely Swift. Top 5 upside this year. Let's see. Okay. I can't tell if this is serious or not. So if you're serious, don't be offended that I just said I can't tell if this is serious or not. Because there are a lot of fantasy football Twitter experts, analysts, whatever they call themselves, saying stop drafting Jonathan Taylor. You can't draft. No. But maybe this is real. Swift or JT this season? See, there you go. The Heinz system kind of, no, it's Jonathan Taylor. I love Swift this year. It's Jonathan Taylor.
Don't overreact to the news. People are finding reasons to knock down the guy who's number 1 just because he's the number 1 pick. Like, is he guaranteed to be the number 1 player? No, but tell me who is. All right, tell me you know for sure, for a fact, that Swift will outproduce him. How many question marks do we have about Jonathan Taylor? Maybe Nyheim Hines kind of cuts into some of his receptions. Okay, how many question marks do we have about DeAndre Swift? At least this many, right? Bad team. Injuries happen, right? Maybe he's not as efficient a runner as Jonathan Taylor, game script from time to time because they're so bad. Okay, so don't overthink it. JT is the number 1 for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. This Nyheim Hines stuff is getting out of hand. Jonathan Taylor is young. Jonathan Taylor is an incredible prospect. Jonathan Taylor is an incredible talent. Jonathan Taylor is going to get 300 carries, He's still going to catch 30 to 40 passes. Like, he's going to get tons of red zone and goal line work. Stop listening to this Nyheim Hines nonsense. Nyheim Hines is like 195 pounds, 199 pounds. I know you say, why does it matter? It matters because one guy is built to handle 300 plus carries and goal line work, and the other is not. That's why it matters. Not to mention the other guy is significantly better at playing running back than Nyheim Hines. No. Like, draft Jonathan Taylor confidently. All right, we got a super chat here. Let's see if I can find it. I don't know if you can find it.
Yep,
so,
got it. It just came in. Here we go.
All right, here we go.
12-man league. Brady, Chase, Pittman, A-Rob, Hopkins, Olave, Fournette, Dillon, Pollard. Should I make any trades for a better RB2? Why? A.J. Dillon is a solid RB2, and Pollard could fill in too. So I don't think so.
Yeah, the only thing I would think is if maybe like you could trade Hopkins or Olave for an upgrade at your RB2. But yeah, other than that, I think you're solid. I don't think I wouldn't make a trade just to make a trade with that team. If I could move one of those guys for an upgrade to RB2.
Would you do this, Chris? Now I'm thinking maybe would you upgrade your RB1, package Fournette with Olave, and try to move up in the RB1 ranks and get a guy like a Swift or a Barkley or somebody who, a lot of people have Fournette ranked higher than those guys that we've been talking about.
I absolutely would do that. I would take Fournette and maybe because you got Chase, Pittman, A-Rob. If you could do like Fournette and Olave or Fournette and Hopkins and get like a stud RB1, I would definitely do that. Yeah, a lot of people are really high on Fournette this year. All right, do we have any?
We got another super chat from Mr. Spicy himself, Roberto. His second one. Much appreciated, Roberto. Okay, so Kupp plus one of those for Swift and Sutton.
This is tough for me. Obviously, Kupp is a beast. I love Sutton and I love Swift.
I feel like didn't he ask a similar question in the Discord, or maybe that was a different thing? I'm not thinking of a different one.
He's wheeling and dealing all the time.
This is true. I don't know. I think the downgrade at receiver there, going from Kupp to Sutton, I don't think it's necessarily worth the trade-off. I'm not too down on Monty this year. Edmonds is solid, so I probably wouldn't trade Kupp right now unless you get a better receiver. I mean, I like Sutton, but yeah, I don't think I would trade Kupp for him.
Yeah, it's tough to trade Kupp. I mean, Kupp still gets drafted high, of course, but it feels like nobody's talking about Kupp. Like, he didn't just have one of the greatest wide receiver seasons ever, and is still in the exact same. Like, he still has Matthew Stafford, everything's the same. It's not like something changed, right? It's not like something. I remember after Adams 2 years ago had like that incredible season, people were like, "Well, he can't do that again." And then what was he, like, wide receiver 3 last year, and he missed a game? And with a missed game, he's still wide receiver 3. Like, Kupp can do that again. I mean, maybe not quite to that level, but he can be awesome again this year. And I think he will be. So as much as I like Sutton and Swift, I think I agree. I got to keep Kupp. Let's see. Okay. We kind of did that one. 12-team draft in 12. Can't do
that. Here's an interesting one. Oh, okay. Well, let's get to this first. Here's a draft question. For sure, draft question. Draft. Oh, it's Mr. Bust again. All right. Draft Brandon Ayuk or Christian Kirk? It's Ayuk, for sure.
Yeah. They're both kind of like high-risk guys, but I like what I've been hearing about Ayuk. I think Lance fits Ayuk's game better than Jimmy G did. So I'm going to take a chance on Ayuk.
All right, how about this? Waiver wire. Should I pick up Sterling Shepard, Velus Jones, or Jalen Reagor in half PPR Dynasty? Is this a yes or no question?
I think in Dynasty, I'll take my chances on Velus.
Not Rager. I mean, come on. He's a reclamation project at this point. So no. Look, I still like Sterling Shepard. I think the guy has always been productive. He just obviously been hurt, and Daniel Jones is not helping his cause. But if he comes back this year, and if the Giants get a better quarterback next year, he could still be a very productive receiver. And I do like Willis Jones, but
isn't he like 30 years old though? Isn't Sterling Shepard like 30 now?
Yeah, like the same age as Willis Jones. No. No.
I just can't
I
add.
don't think he's that old.
I'm pretty sure. Let me check. I'm pretty sure he is. Pretty sure he is.
He's been playing for 5 years. He is 29. Okay.
When does he turn 30? When's his birthday?
In a couple.
Okay, so so he'll be 30 next year. He turned 29 this year. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like. Look. Chances are none of these guys are going to do anything for your team ever. So me personally, I'll just take a chance on Willis Jones, who's like the oldest rookie in the history of the NFL. But whatever, maybe he'll do something. But
the young guy.
Yeah, I'll just take a chance on the young guy who hasn't busted like Rager. I do like Shepard, but isn't he also coming off Achilles? Didn't he tear his Achilles too?
Yeah, he's also coming off an injury.
Didn't we have like a rash of Achilles injuries last year? It was like crazy. Like what the heck?
This is true.
Here's one, because we could talk about this guy going into the draft, Chase Edmonds. We have talked about him quite a bit, but thoughts on Chase Edmonds, because he is kind of a hot draft topic right now.
Yeah, like I mentioned this earlier, I think we maybe either underestimated Raheem Mostert or overestimated Edmonds' impact, because it seems like Mostert is going to have a role in this offense. We thought Edmonds would kind of be the guy. He's still going to be the main guy. I think we're going to see some Mostert, probably more than we expected. And, this is a team that, yes, they're going to commit to run the ball quite a bit. But I don't think there's going to be enough necessarily to make him – I don't know. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a week in, week out must start. That's my thing. I think he might be somewhat game script dependent because he's more of a pass catching kind of back. So I feel solid about him, but I think to me he's more of a floor play from week to week.
Interesting. Call me skeptical on 30-year-old can't stay on the field Raheem Mostert. And I think the Dolphins do have a plan for Raheem Mostert. But I don't think the plan is going to be him taking significant work from Chase Edmonds. I didn't even care that they had all these running backs. I was still high on Chase Edmonds. They cut Sony Michel, which just makes me feel even better about Chase Edmonds. I'm not really worried about Mostert. If they're going to give Raheem Mostert half the carries, he's not going to make it through one game. He's just not. He's just not. He's not built. That's not what he's built for, right? He's just not built for that. This is why I talk about size. And not that Evans is a big guy, but he's at least, big enough. And he's been relatively durable. So I still like Evans. And I don't think his ADP has shot way up. It hasn't shot up like Damian Pierce or anything. You can still get him, in the later single-digit rounds. And I think that's great. So, and I didn't want to throw this one out there because, yes, you need to get rid of Mike Gesicki. They're using him like an inline blocker, which A is not good for fantasy, and B is not really his role. So, yeah, drop him for almost any tight end, really. Right?
Yeah, between those, not Higbee. Higbee doesn't do anything for me. Probably go Everett or Irv Smith. To me, Everett slightly over Irv Smith.
Do you see any more here?
Yeah, and I see some that are just like player A versus player B. Let us know if you're talking draft or start sit, because we do still have some people drafting. We're trying to answer some draft questions. We'll do start sit too, but of course we're going to do a lot of that on Saturday. So
yeah, we'll do a start sit on Saturday. Don't worry. Yeah, trying to get through as many drafts, because I know some of you, there's people who have the draft tonight, tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. Want to hit on as many of those as we can.
Here's an easy one. Kenny Golladay going to do anything this year?
Maybe ride the bench.
Yeah. He'll do something.
Maybe get cut.
But it won't help your team.
Yeah. not touching Kenny Galladay this year.
All right. Saquon or Mixon? To me, it's easily Saquon.
Yeah, definitely Saquon for me. I think we're going to have a huge bounce back year from Saquon. A, he sounds angry and motivated. B, he's now a full year off of ACL, which is huge. And C, he's going to have to be this entire offense. Like, they have no receivers. They have Daniel Jones. Like, they're going to have to just ride Saquon Barkley as much as they can. He's going to be like Derrick Henry, but with way more receptions, right? Because he's going to get tons of touches every single week. He's going to get like crazy volume, but he's going to actually catch passes. So, love Saquon.
Right.
Love Saquon. I guess this could impact drafts. Do we think Alexander Madison will get traded? I'm going to say no. If it hasn't happened by now, I don't think it's happened.
Yeah, if it didn't happen, it's not going to happen unless maybe an injury and that, inspires them to pull the trigger. But again, I know I said they were shopping him. I think it was more that teams were asking and they were open to it, which, tells you that they're not dead set on keeping him. But yeah, I don't think so. A lot of these trade talks are just talks, and that's it.
Yeah, like you said, I think if it happens, it'll happen during the season when maybe a team loses their running back and they're desperate. They think they're trying to win right now, and they make a trade. But by then, it's too late. You either drafted him or you didn't. So let's see.
Dynasty wise, should you keep Gesicki? Well, he won't be traded. He was franchise tagged, so he'll go to another team next year.
Yeah, I think you keep him because they did franchise tag him this year. They're not going to franchise tag him again because he's obviously not a fit for this offense. So he's probably going to move on in free agency next year. So if you have him in Dynasty, you probably have to hold him because you're not going to be able to trade him for anything. Nobody's out there wanting Mike Gesicki in the trade market. So yeah, you probably just have to hold him. I wouldn't drop him. He's still young and he's still talented, so I wouldn't drop him.
Yeah, he'll still do something this year. It's not like he's just going to be completely ignored, but just don't expect him to be start worthy in fantasy. He'll score a few touchdowns and he'll do okay, but he's not going to ever reach the ceiling that was envisioned for him. So,
not in Miami, maybe somewhere else, but not in Miami. All right, here's one because this is kind of gaining a lot of steam right now too. People think are we worried about Stafford's injury this year?
You know what? This is one of those things. It's kind of like everything you hear out of the 49ers camp. It changes from day to day, and it depends what you read because if you see the total opposite. So today I saw something. It was his elbow will be concerned all season long, whereas 2 days ago I saw something about he'll be fine this season. He'll play through it. It's no big. So who knows, man? It depends. But again, Sean McVay is now turned into this guru of misinformation. I don't think we necessarily know what to believe, but I think we can see that he's been playing. It's not like he's sitting out there, in a non-contact jersey, and that they're worried about his availability for week 1. So I'm not going to put too much stock into it. I saw in a draft I just did where his, draft slot fell. He usually goes around pick 100. He was still there in pick 130 or something like that. So I pulled the trigger. Yeah. I mean, look, at that point, you take the chance. So if anything, if he's healthy, he could be better than last year now that they have Allen Robinson. So I'm not too worried. Are you worried?
I'm not worried. No, I'm not worried. Everything I've heard from actual medical people is it's nothing. Sean McVay just said, I'm willing to let him throw 50 passes in week 1. And when this was first reported during training camp, he was on the side in individual drills throwing bombs to players. Do you think a team worried about the quarterback's elbow is going to have him throwing bombs in training? No, he would be standing, like Pierre said, he'd be standing there with ice or rehabbing. No, he's still throwing. He's fine. And plus, it's Matt Stafford. The guy, you literally have to drag the guy off the field for him not to play. It's Matt Stafford. I'm not worried at even one bit. So I think we got a super check. Check on that. Do you see it down there?
Yep. Oh, yeah. All right, here we go. Ash again. Thank you. Here's a team breakdown. Got Jalen Hurts. Good for you. Chase, Bateman, Tolbert, Sky, Hopkins. A little thin at receiver, I would say. Okay, so you got Najee, Etienne, Brees, Melvin, Henderson, Rashad White. Well done. Tight end is Ertz, ranked last. Well, it doesn't matter what you're ranked because everyone's 0-0.
You get the last place ranking. That means you're probably going to win. So congratulations. I'll say I would try to move one of those running backs for a stud. I mean, you have Chase and Bateman. That's good, but maybe like Melvin Gordon and another wide receiver. Well, I don't know. Trying to maybe like Melvin. I mean, I might try to package like Melvin Gordon and Hopkins. Find a team that's deep at wide receiver. Maybe package like Melvin Gordon and Hopkins and try to get an upgrade at wide receiver.
Yeah, because here's the problem: is we both fundamentally like Sky Moore and Jalen Tolbert, but you're going to need someone to get you by for those first 6 weeks when Hopkins is out. And that's when those guys will be the least productive. And we've been hearing, look, I know we both like Jalen Tolbert, but we've been hearing like he's not ready necessarily to be the guy. And Michael Gallup might be ready to come back week 2 or week 3. So you might not get anything from Tolbert early on when you need him. And Sky Moore, maybe, but again, rookies usually take a little bit of time, and Sky Moore isn't Jamar Chase, right? He's not necessarily going to dominate from the beginning. So that's the thing is you might want to trade either one of those rookies or Hopkins and package with a running back to get a really rock solid wide receiver 2 maybe or 3. So, overall your team is good. You don't have to worry, especially if you only have to start 2 receivers, then that would be even better.
Yeah. And people are still kind of high on Melvin Gordon right now. They still think like it could be like last year. So I think he still has some decent value right now. And people obviously, like I said, if you have a team that's deep at wide receiver, they might think like, hey, I don't need Hopkins the first 6 weeks. I got these other guys. I'm okay. I'll take a chance on it. That's probably what I'd be doing. I'd probably be trying to package those 2 guys to get, an upgrade there. Maybe like somebody that comes to my mind real quick might be like Elijah Moore. Somebody who I think will be really good this year, but isn't like not everybody's super high on. Something like that. This is throwing it out there as a name.
All right, so we got a super chat from Jordan. I think he put his question separately, so we'll put his up there.
Okay. 5th pick, PPR draft.
Oh, draft is about to take place.
Okay, well, I'll tell you this. This is my top 5. Now, you don't have to follow it. I'll just tell you who my top 5 is, and that guarantees one of these guys will be available in this order: JT, Najee, Jefferson, Kupp, CMC. That is my top 5 in order. And you don't have to follow it, but whichever one of those guys in that order falls to me at 5, that's who I'm taking.
Yeah, I actually have the exact same 5, just slightly different order. But yeah, same thing. So at the 5th pick, I mean, if you can get one of those guys like a Justin Jefferson or Cooper Kupp, you do it. Of course, if not, the running backs who's available. So who should you look for in the second round? I mean, if you took a running back first, right, one of those running backs is there, then you probably should take the best receiver available. But it always depends. I mean, it always depends who's available. It can't just say blanket statement, take this position. So, but the value there coming back in the second round will probably be at receiver. You can get a guy like hopefully a Pittman or a Tyreek Hill, somebody like that. It just depends.
Yeah, and I miss that part. So, yeah. To me, I'll say mine. See, I always say this, but it really matters. It also comes down to: are you starting 2 wide receiver, 1 flex? Are you starting 3 wide receiver, multiple flexes? Because the deeper your roster, the more likely I am to just go anchor RB or even 0 RB. Because again, if you only need 2 wide receivers, you don't need to go as wide receiver crazy early. But let's assume it's a standard 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex, because that's the most common format. I'll say the guys I look for at the running backs I would look for in the late second, or I guess that's late-ish second, would be Barkley or Swift if he somehow falls. If those guys aren't there, I'm almost always going wide receiver in the second. And then if Javonte is there in the third or Etienne, I might go with those guys. Otherwise, I'm probably going wide receiver again.
Yeah, and given this is an ESPN league, we're going to guess it's not, one of these crazy competitive industry leagues. If you're drafting with, normal competitors, they're probably going running back heavy, which means the value, like I said, will probably be there at wide receiver. I don't mind taking an AJ Brown or Mike Evans also if they're available late in the second.
Yeah, and then I do have to throw this up there. You should feel like you reached. You should have waited 4 more picks. Got him at 87. You reached. Just saying. You reached.
Dirty. You should feel dirty inside. That's how you should feel.
Let's see. We got any more? What do you think? We're almost 2 hours in.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody being here.
A couple more. The seat is not as comfortable as it should be, but that's okay.
Yeah, and I do have family and dinner that I have to get to at some point because, again, I do not want to be sleeping on the couch tonight.
All right, we'll do a couple more. We'll do. Should we do? We always is a tradition. We'll do lightning round.
We'll go 2 hours. We'll go like 10 more minutes. We just get
we got a super chat. Yeah. Okay. CMC Swift. You have all of those running backs?
Wow.
I mean, I know it's a 10-team league, but still.
It's a $100 buy-in. Congratulations.
Oh, okay. We'll see where his receivers are.
I mean, not bad. I mean, okay, you got Michael Thomas, but you got Bateman and Sutton. That's not bad. Christian Kirk.
I would do that.
Barkley for Lamb in York. Like, I love Barkley. I think Barkley's going to be awesome. But you have CMC Swift and Etienne and even Damian Pierce. You don't need Barkley. CeeDee Lamb, unless you can start 4 running backs, which I doubt. I've never played in a league where you can start 4 running backs. I mean, unless you have like 2 flexes, I would make that trade. I don't think, even if Barkley's great, I think Lamb is also going to be great and it helps your team more. So, yeah, I would definitely make that trade.
Yeah, even just in a vacuum, I think that's a fair deal. It's fine to take Lamb for Barkley. But given the fact you somehow have 4 stud running backs and one who could be a really good running back, and yeah, you don't really have a true wide receiver 1, I definitely think you do that. It's a good team. I know it's 10 team, but still.
That's a team that could definitely be winning you some money this year for sure. All right, so here we go. At the 2-3 turn, so I guess that means the number 1 pick, right? You got the 101. When we took JT. Who are you taking, assuming these guys fall? Taking 2 between Evans, Higgins, and Pittman, assuming they all fall.
I think we're the same here. I got Evans first. It's tough, but I think I got Pittman a little ahead of Higgins.
Yeah, they're all great options. I'd be happy with any 2 of those, but I have them ranked Evans, Pittman, Higgins in that order. I think we might have got another super chat. I don't know if you see it. Maybe not.
All right.
There it is. Yep. Okay.
Mike, need running back help. I have Akers, Pollard, Rachaad White, Gainwell, Patterson. Could pick up McKissick, Jamal Williams, Sonny Michel, play 2 RBs. I don't think any of those guys are an upgrade over who you have.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, if you have to start 2 RBs, obviously you're probably going to start Akers and Pollard this week, which doesn't feel good. I think your best bet, hopefully you're deep at wide receiver because you have all, because these are your running backs. So hopefully you went really wide receiver heavy. Maybe you can flip a wide receiver maybe you could flip like a wide receiver 3 or a running back 2 type or something like that. But yeah, I don't think any of those guys are an upgrade over what you have.
No. I mean, if you need help, you're probably going to have to look to make a trade, honestly, because none of those waiver wire running backs right now is really going to be helpful. So, but yeah, you have to start 2 this week. It would be Akers and Pollard.
Okay, I want to cover this one because we get this question a lot in the Discord, which, by the way, link below. You want to get in there. It's awesome. Not only is it like great to get your questions answered, but it's fun. We have a lot of fun in there. It's not all just fantasy football. It's like we have fun. Game days are incredible. So much fun in there. So get in there. It's totally free. No excuses. But because we do this a lot about like drafting the same player on the same team. So is it okay to draft Jamar Chase and Mixon? Or is it okay to draft, say, I don't know, whoever. DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown, whatever. Like, is it okay to draft, Jamar Chase and Mixon with my first 2 picks because they're on the same team?
Yes, it's perfectly fine. It's not a bad thing. usually better if you're going to do that. Obviously, you get like a stack like a quarterback and receiver, but it's fine. Don't not draft the better player because he's on the same team as somebody else. Like if you wind up with 4 or 5 players on the same team, okay, maybe that's a little too far. But I think, yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. And then this is another kind of question we get a lot. So I think we both have Jefferson over Kupp. And I'm talking like it's Jefferson then Kupp, right? I think we're both like Jefferson then Kupp. It's not like Jefferson Kupp. It's like Jefferson then Kupp. But why Jefferson over Kupp?
Why Jefferson over Kupp? There's absolutely no reason not to be on Kupp. It's not that, we're down on Kupp. No, but just chances are he won't, do better than he did last year, right? He'll probably be about the same. Not worried about the elbow. Not too worried about Allen Robinson cutting into his targets. It's going to be about the same. I think Kupp will be fine. Look, they got a Super Bowl. Are they going to be as motivated to repeat? Probably inherently, yes, but it's still also not the same thing where they went all in last year and it was their year. So, okay, Kupp will probably take a slight step back just because of natural regression. Jefferson is looking like in his third year, he's going to take a step forward because of the offense. He's going to be more pass heavy. So, but again, it's like pick your, either way, it's like flip a coin.
Yeah, I agree. To me, it's more like we probably saw the best. I mean, almost certainly saw the best Kupp we'll ever see last year. Still think he'll be great. We could still see a better Jefferson. And if this is the year that we get the better Jefferson because he's in year 3, which is usually that's the year where everything usually comes together for these guys. He's got the Rams as offensive coordinator now with the Vikings. He's not stuck with Mike Zimmer, who just wants to run the ball and play defense. Like there's a chance that we see the best Justin Jefferson we've ever seen, and if that happens, he's going to be the wide receiver 1 in all of fantasy. So I will gamble. Not that it's a gamble, but I will gamble on that and take him 1 spot ahead of Kupp. 1 spot.
Yeah, but if you take Kupp first,
yeah, it's fine. It's not like
nobody's going to blame you.
Yeah, no one's going to blame you. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Oh no, we did that one. Maybe.
Yeah, let's do. You want to do? Let's say 2 more questions.
We'll do 2 more. If you see a good one,
make it exactly 2 hours before my computer dies, anyways. Appreciate it, by the way. The good time as mentioned. Appreciate everybody who jumped in here. Sorry if we didn't get to your question, but we have a lot. We're doing start sit. You can ask those questions this weekend, Saturday, live show right there. You see on the ticker there. This Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. So we're going to be live for probably about the same amount of time, about 2 hours, trying to answer as many as possible. If you are a patron, you will be with us on Sunday morning. All right, so
how about this one? Because this is a pretty interesting one because this definitely affects drafts right now. So with the unfortunate Robinson news, who was going to break out this year, going to be the starting running back on the Commanders. How do we feel about Gibson in drafts, and how do we feel about Robinson? Like, is he worth drafting?
When do you expect Robinson to return? It's hard to say, but it sounds like he will be back by midseason at least. That's what it sounds like. But again, it's hard to say. Thoughts on Gibson? He's still draftable, but not as a starter. Again, his ADP right now is kind of like the 80s, 90s. I think it's fine if he's your 3rd running back. I don't mind that because he will score some touchdowns. Obviously, beginning of the year, he's going to be the starter, so he'll get plenty of touches. Not going to be necessarily uber efficient, but he's getting the volume. That's all you care about. So he's draftable as your 3rd running back if you don't need him to start. And look, I really feel like I have to put this up again because I actually answered this and I answered it in the text, but he has literally asked this question 20 times and he says he's been here from the start. He has been here since the start. I guarantee it. Evan, I love your enthusiasm. I appreciate it. And I hope this helps you. It is Judy this week. You start Jerry Judy against the Seahawks.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Should we go with it? What about this one? Is there a block standard? So I think he means like the structure, right? He means like the structure.
There shouldn't be. You shouldn't just say I'm going to draft this position or that position. unless you happen to know how everyone in your league is going to draft. But no, it's not just like, value-based drafting, draft the best player available. No, you have to think about roster construction, but you can't just go in and say, I'm going to draft a running back no matter what. Look, if you say I'm going to draft a running back in round 1 and everybody drafts a running back the first 10 picks and you're the pick 11 and Cooper Kupp or Justin Jefferson is there, you're going to take a wide receiver because that's the best player there. So I guess the answer is no. Don't worry about that right now.
Yeah. All right, let's see. You got one? Or you have a fun one?
No, just people lolling at the bus. And bus, always here, beginning and end. Thank you for the stream. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us. Join the Discord, everybody. I think that's a good way to take us out. Guys, join us on Saturday, or if you're a Patron, join us on Sunday, or if you're not, become a Patron and you can join us. We have all sorts of stuff just posted. Week 1 rankings in addition to our last update of draft rankings. I even threw IDP rankings on there just for fun in case people do that. And we have, of course, Chris's running back dominator matrix, where you can find out who the running backs are that might win your league this year.
Yeah, that's right. So all those links in the description. So Discord, free and fun, positive, no excuses. I think Buzz said it takes 5 seconds to download and 10 seconds to sign up. Get in there. Do it on your phone in less than a minute. Patreon, if you want access to that private show on Sunday morning, where we will answer all the questions, no doubt about it, with all the most relevant information, plus updated weekly rankings every week, plus updated waiver wire pickups throughout the week as we get news, things like that. All that kind of stuff. Well worth it. Well worth it, especially in this day and age when everything is insanely expensive. It's not. Check that out down below as well. Yeah, we got our show Saturday night. Be back here with us Saturday night. We're going to do that. I think we said 6 p.m. Eastern. That's what we said, right? 6 p.m. Eastern. 5 Central, I guess it is. 3 Pacific, where I'm at. So be here for that. And subscribe and like. Did I get it all?
If you haven't subscribed yet, you should definitely do that. All right, guys. We're out for tonight. We appreciate it. Good luck in your drafts, those who are still drafting, and we'll see you on Saturday.